Hello, everyone, and welcome to my first live in a very long time, probably within a year. So it's been a while. So, welcome, everyone. Let me know if you can hear me in the chat so I make sure I'm not talking to myself. And I'll also type it. So, for those of you who may have some volume issues, or if you can't hear me at all. So, just want to make sure I'm not talking to myself. So, the purpose of this live is I wanted to just have a conversation, hopefully take some questions if you guys have them, and pretty much just do my normal update that I normally do, except now I'll just kind of do it live, right? So I'm just going to go through, take a look at price action, see what it's looking like. It's looking like we're going to get that pre-halving sell-off. So if you've been watching some of my more recent videos, you know we've been talking about the possibility of a pre-halving sell-off based off of history that's been going on with Bitcoin, and obviously Bitcoin institutional money as far as the rebalancing portfolios and all that good stuff. It normally adjusts the entire market when that is the potential there, right? And outside of Bitcoin, you also have things like macro. Now, and if you follow me on X or what I said here earlier in the community section, we talked about the possibility of Powell saying something shocking the market, because when Powell speaks, it obviously has shock value. And he's pretty much saying that we're going to wait on the interest rates until we have more evidence about like inflation. So what that means is we're going to have continued, or pretty much he's going to double down on what he said at the end of last year, which is higher for longer, right? And now I'm going to tie this into crypto and Bitcoin and Dogecoin in a moment. So just bear with me. I'm just kind of laying the foundation. So what that means, higher for longer, is typically we're going to have higher interest rates. So that affects on the micro level as far as for consumers. That means higher credit card rates, higher mortgage rates, higher auto loan rates, all that good stuff. On the macro side, as far as for businesses, the cost to borrow, all that kind of good stuff, it's going to be more expensive, right? So money isn't dirt cheap like it was a few years ago. So all that kind of gets factored in when it comes down to risk management. And typically you'll see portfolios adjust, right? And this is what I meant by hopefully, for those of you that caught it, I was saying hopefully Powell says something and gives us some time to do some last minute adjustments. And it looks like we're getting that time. So obviously, if you take a look at history, what we've been talking about is the pre-halving sell-off and how that ties into crypto. You'll see rebalancing of portfolios. We're going to take a look here at long versus shorts, because obviously longs have been taking profit and coming back in immediately. And that kind of gives you the information behind the candles, what we've been talking about, and giving you like a placement for where they believe the value of the actual coin is. And we can kind of use that information as we're doing our hypothesis. So we're going to, and for those of you writing in the chat, I'll take questions in a moment, because I'm going to be looking at a different screen. So I'm not going to be able to see it if you are asking something of me. So just bear with me. So what we've been talking about is the kind of like the rubber band scenario. For those of you that didn't watch my last video, I was saying that 18 is good, but if you're able to catch it below that, that's going to be exceptional, right? So what that means is when you have a level of support or a level of like established value, then you'll say, okay, if this breaks below that due to macros, something like a Powell situation, Bitcoin selling off, a whale dumping, anything along that line, when you're able to get it below there, there's no telling how long it's going to be there. But when whatever catalyst caused it to dip down there, when it goes away, it typically springs back very aggressively. That's the rubber band scenario. So just take a rubber band, pull it back, and then pull it back aggressively to see the two. And the harder you pull it back, or the farther you pull it back, the faster and the more aggressive it tries to get equilibrium, right? So this is typically around that 18 mark, what we've been talking about. And this has really been the equilibrium even here. This is why it's really exceptional that we're even below that, is because that's been the area that we've been retesting since early March. Really, like we were headed there in late February, like March 2nd, like that. That trend to get to 18 has been there for over a month. So when you have that scenario where you kind of can get it to break down and get it to get it below there, you typically have engulfing candles, and that'll kind of be a signal of a reversal. So we have, and the example I used was here when we had around the 15 mark, and we had the whale dump and the BTC sell off, and we're able to get 2 red days. And the tone was, oh, we're going back to 12, we're going back below 12, and then those catalysts, that those coins that were dumped were absorbed, and the catalyst for Bitcoin stopped selling off. Those catalysts were removed. So what did it do? It ran back to equilibrium price, which is around the 15th. So you had that engulfing candle, which made up for the previous 2 red days in a single day. So if you were able to catch it in this range, then you were in like almost immediate profit the first green day we had, because it ran back to the previous zone. So this kind of like lays the foundation to the point that I'm making here. If you're able to catch it in this zone here, because obviously we've established that the what we talked about, even if we kind of zone out here, hold on. Excuse me. Whoa, too much zone. Okay, but this is where we are now, right? This will be like the peak around 21, 22. You'll see back here in 2022, this was our test when we were trying to have those rallies back up. This is before the Elon purchase of Twitter and all that good stuff. So this is when we were coming off of the bull cycle. We had those 2 tests right around where we are now, 2176 and 2217. We had those 2 tests. And even if you look back here, when we first came down around July of, 2021, that was around 22, 23, where that rejection was. So this is normally, this is certainly, we've had 3 rejections off of here a few years ago. So this is certainly what you would consider to be it'd be fair to call it a pivot point, which is what we were talking about, and breaking above this and going into this next zone here. But that's to be expected. So right now, if we're looking at market value, then the market's trying to price in a price for Doge somewhere between 18 and 22 cents. So if you're able to catch it at this range here, I believe we're probably going to have a similar repeat to what we have here. So when those catalysts are gone, when the shock value is gone, we're going to see an engulfing candle. That'll probably be our signal of a reversal. So technically right now, if you are, I wouldn't advise trying to time it, because like I said, this was made up for those previous days in a single day. Typically that run is relatively quick. Not to say that this is the absolute bottom here, because obviously if Bitcoin sells off, I'll give you some of the bottom numbers for Bitcoin, which was, this took a historical average, because we've had an aggressive sell-off before, and then we had a moderate sell-off with Bitcoin. So I was kind of took something in the middle around like the 40% and saying that, okay, hey, we can probably have and then also with the retest here as well that we kind of bounced up from, which is around 58,000. Now, if we have a Bitcoin sell-off where it goes and it drops another 8,000, obviously that's going to bring the market down. So you'll be able to get a great deal, but it's not guaranteed. Why? Because we have a few points here above 62 and even 61, right? So it's not, again, not impossible, but we have a few points that would have to break for Bitcoin to have that kind of effect and that adjustment on the overall market. So if you're trying to catch the bottom here, it's going to be hard to say where that is right now, because it'll be very aggressive to catch that, and it's going to be moved very quickly, because right now you see Bitcoin shorts are piling in. So they're trying to be on top of this pre-halving. Obviously this happens, that the pre-halving sell-off happens 100% of the time prior to the halving, right? So the only question is, how aggressive is it going to be? So it was never a question of if it's going to sell off. The question is, how far is it going to go down? And that was my question, because I was saying that we may not have that much of a sell-off, because we have so many new investors and new wallets being added. They're going to be in a position where they're saying, hey, maybe let's start adding right now, because any dip is a chance for them to accumulate and increase their coin count, their share count, and get and hold a larger position. So maybe we won't see those large sell-offs, right? So, and that's what I was thinking maybe for Doge as well, because if we're looking at Doge shouldn't be running right now. So that's evidence that more people inside the coins can actually kind of change the history that we've seen prior, because now we see alts running at the same time Bitcoin is before halving. So we're seeing some evidence that it's possible to kind of change that history. But the question is, how much change are we going to get? So obviously, we are charting that as it goes, but shorts for Bitcoin are on the move here. What is this? 4 consecutive days up. So, matter of fact, let's compare that to Doge. Let's see here. Oh wait, those are not shorts. There we go. And Doge shorts are doing not much. They're actually coming out, right? We had a slight green day yesterday, but for the most part, we have Doges on a downward trend when it comes to shorts, resting roughly on the 14. So this is what I meant by, this is kind of what I was talking about in my last video when I was saying don't be tricked. Take a look at some of the bigger positions here, and you'll see that even though the price may be going down, that's longs liquidating, but they're buying back in. So you'll see, we're going to switch charts here. Bear with me. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So if you're looking at the long short ratio, right? 5 minutes, 74. So we're looking like 75-25 basically across the board, literally, for longs versus shorts. So you have to ask yourself, I know what I'm seeing on the chart, but for the positions that are being taken, is this a position? Are they taking positions like they believe the coin is going to actually go down, right? So the 5 minutes, 75-25, long versus short. 30 minutes, 75-25. I'm running up like 0.30, but you guys get it. 75-25 for 30 minutes, 75-25 for 1 hour. Same thing for the 4 hour, same thing for the 1 day, right? So behind the scenes, they are buying back in with these positions. But if you look at liquidations, I'm willing to bet it's longs that are taking the most profit, right? See, look at this. Look at the long liquidations in the last 24 hours. And remember, this is only a few exchanges. This isn't all of them, but it kind of gives you an idea of the tone of the market. So, because obviously I don't believe that we can see all of the data to begin with, but that's a separate video. But if you compare the longs versus the short liquidations, you'll see that longs are dominating both sides of the chart now. They're liquidating the most, and they're also taking the most new positions. So this is what I mean by the market, even behind the scenes, is not pricing in lower Dogecoin. The market is pricing in profit off of our recent run, and also pricing in the potential to go even higher, right? So still over $1 billion in open interest. Obviously, this sell-off has affected the price here. We peaked at around like 2 billion. So this open interest here, as those contracts come in and do that swap, you'll see this kind of do like a cup or a bowl and start going back up. But overall, the market is pricing in higher Doge. So this isn't the tone that you're getting if you're looking at the chart. But that's one of the beautiful things about looking behind the scenes. Let's take a look here at market cap. I believe we're still number 8. Yep, down 10% on the 7-day, 6% on the 24, and on a 1 hour up 0.35. So this here, Bitcoin's down 5% on the 7-day. And you'll see here some of the similar patterns, right? Because some of them you have, look, if you take a look, this is what I meant by rebalancing portfolios. And I'll take this and then I'll transition and start taking some questions. But when you start looking at rebalancing portfolios, and you can often wonder why the positions always look the same, why when Bitcoin sells off, all of the charts absolutely match it. Because a lot of make no mistake, even if the institutions don't say anything about Dogecoin, you have evidence that they are invested in these coins, because you can see the evidence here in the charts, right? The total market cap right now is 2.47 trillion. I can promise you that retail hasn't invested $2.5 trillion in crypto. But you can see the evidence here. Look at this: Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB, USD, XRP, Dogecoin, Cardano, almost completely mirroring. Now, if you believe that out of the 6-7 million wallet holders we have now, that we all are magically lining up with what goes on with Bitcoin, then you'd have to be pretty naive to believe that, right? So these are institutions rebalancing their portfolios, restructuring their portfolios based off of what's happening in the market. And obviously there's some retail in there that kind of are going to, sell, take profit, again, longs and shorts, all that kind of good stuff. As we get futures, I'm going to do an updated video on that, and we'll talk about how that kind of is going to play into for Doge and kind of help out a lot. It's going to be a pretty big deal. But as of right now, that's options driven, the open interest that we just took a look at, and they're going to mirror what is going on typically in the big two, which is going to be Bitcoin and Ethereum. You're going to see very similar charts here that's going to be automatically rebalancing it. So you'll see volume overall 2.6 billion. And the crazy thing about it is when you see this price action here, you say, okay, well, we're down 10%. Cardano's 9% roughly. Cardano's down around 10%. We're still holding a 5 billion lead on Dogecoin. Cardano, Avalanche, all that kind of good stuff. So even though the Dogecoin is down 10%, which is technically more than any of the top 7, it still held the placement, right? It didn't drop down. Doge didn't drop down because this isn't Doge specific, and I'm going to tie this and prove my point with the institutions rebalancing. If you have a 10% sell-off in a coin, which is technically more than the previous 7, and it didn't drop down in position, right? It didn't drop to 9 or 10 or out of the top 10 because the entire top 10 adjusted so. And they adjusted so in a way where it was almost even though money is being liquidated out of the market, the same percentages are being held by a lot of the same people, right? So like if a whale is so if you have like 10 whales that are in a coin, they say we're going to adjust our portfolio 3%, and they do that across the board. Even though money is leaving the market, the overall positions of the coin stay the same. So this is just a big balancing act that we see here for Doge and for crypto. So this is really it's a rebalancing act that we see here. So it's not evidence that I believe that the coin is going to actually go down or that the bull run is over. It is abnormal to say that the bull run is over prior to halving. Like I've never seen it, right? So when you say things like that, it is, I'll say that's news to me because that hasn't happened yet. Typically, the best part of the bull run is after the halving, right? You have that kind of that last signal wave prior to the halving, and then we typically have the parabolic movement afterwards. So I think that is still ahead of us for not just Doge, but obviously the crypto market as a whole, no matter where you're at. So I'm going to switch back over to the charts just so I can have a better idea what's going on in the background. And we are going to take a few questions here. I've been on here almost 20 minutes running my mouth. So I'm going to take some questions, catch up with you guys. Let me know if you have any questions or just want to say something, let me know. And I'll pull some of them up on the screen. And also, if you're new here, we're going to try and hit 100,000 subscribers this year before Bitcoin hits $100,000. So if you have found value here, make sure you subscribe to the channel and help us with that goal. So let's see here. Have we considered that if X accepts payments, then YouTube may not be far behind? Super chat, thanks, etc. Like the first zebra jumping in the water. Once you get the first one goes and the floodgates open. Yeah. So the thing is, we're pretty much, in my opinion, X will be like a giant case study, and even not just for social media, but even for businesses, right? Because I think that what scares a lot of businesses off, and what has scared a lot of businesses off, is that huge sell-off that we see with crypto as a whole, right? We will see crypto run set all-time highs and then have 60 to 90% sell-offs during the bear market and then repeat. So as a business owner, you would kind of look at that and say, okay, if I'm holding all of this, Doge, for example, and I'm on the wrong side of this bear market, what happens to my profit? Or, but otherwise, if I am accepting Doge as payment, I should just dump it as quickly as possible and convert it back to cash because I don't want to get caught in a bear market while I'm waiting for years to get it a return. I get that it bounces back up every, 3-4 years, but I don't want to wait that long, right? So when we have these giant, what I would call like a case study for like social media and stuff, I think that this will play a part in stabilizing the coin and cutting down on some of that sell-off. Because when you have people in it that are just looking to convert back to fiat and not having it being held widely, or having most of the coins in a position where they're not going to return back to the exchanges because they're being used for payments and they're being used for goods and services, I think that's going to be play a big factor in stabilizing the actual coin, because they're not going to be sold. They're going to be held in a bunch of wallets. Like if everybody even if a certain percentage of the people on X are holding, 50 Dogecoin, that's millions of coins that are not going back to the exchanges, are being converted back to fiat. So that kind of helps when it comes down to buy and sell pressure. So absolutely, I think it's going to be like a domino effect. So I think that's going to play a big part. Let's see. David, I come over from X, was wondering, where do you see Doge price if X don't accept Doge payments? Thank you, sir, for taking my question. I guess you knew I was going to take it. If X doesn't take the payments, I think that we will, because even outside of it, I've been speaking with some of the devs, and they're working on a few programs that's going to allow payments to be taken on kind of like on a micro level for like websites and stuff. They have like Giga Wallet and stuff coming out where you're going to be able to kind of integrate it a lot more seamlessly into your site. So there's plans that's going into place that's still going to push Doge forward as a currency and open up those doors for acceptance. I think that Doge has the exposure and it's popular enough where no one's going to, if they're like, hey, we take Doge's payment for on this particular website or whatever, no one's going to be like, okay, what's that? Right. I think Doge has been mainstream enough where it has broken down that barrier, and it's going to be an opportunity here to kind of grow on a micro level as well. If we didn't get the X payments, obviously X payments are going to be a lot more explosive and play a bigger part in the price faster. But I still believe that we'll have an ascension in price if we don't get the X payments, but it just won't be anywhere near as fast. I think X payments is obviously going to be an explosive reaction and have almost an immediate difference in price. But I still think there's a plan to kind of get Doge that exposure and push it out being used as a currency without it. So we'll still see increase, but just not as quick, in my opinion, right? Doge is clearly oversold. Oh yeah, absolutely. See, David, when it comes to taking profit, do you do it slowly, take half, or sell? What is your rule? Typically, well, for Doge, I haven't come up with a hard strategy as far as for taking profit, because I want to see where it goes. But typically, if I'm taking profit, I'll do so in 20% increments. So even if I'm like day trading or something like that, if I'm doing like a Tesla or Netflix or something like that, I'll do. This is a little different from crypto, but I'll do trailing stop losses, 20% rules, take 20% profit. Just can put myself in a position where I'm not floating the entire investment if I'm looking to take profit, or if I'm in a comfortable range, right? And obviously, if I move up to like a different zone, like if I'm at 20% profit and I'm at 35% profit, I'm saying, okay, well, what's the least amount I'm going to leave with, right? If I'm up 60%, 80%, what's the least amount I'm comfortable with? Even if it dips down and it has the potential to completely rip again and take me up 300%, what do I actually risk on that happening, right? So, and I kind of, especially if it's a long-term position, I adjust that based off of what I'm seeing. So if I'm, example, if I'm up like 80%, I'll say I'm not leaving with less than 50%. So whatever coin that has, whatever coin stock that is, it has 30% to go up and down. At that 50%, I'm taking profit if that is my window, if that's my time frame that I'm comfortable with. Like if I'm saying I'm taking profit this bull cycle, right? At 50%, again, it's just an example, but that is my number, right? Even if it dips down, has the potential to go up, I'll do that. The only exception I would make is probably something like right now, which is pre-halving, just because it's been, I believe it's happened where we had the especially top 10 coins peak prior to the halving. So that would be another historic event, all in all. So I don't think that that would be, in my opinion, I wouldn't do that because I don't think that would be wise based off of history. So I would make that adjustment. So I hope that makes sense. Let's see. My best guess on the bottom of this correction, probably the bottom. If we have a steep sell-off, we'll probably bounce maybe off around the 15. Which for me, I would personally, I would love that. But we'll see, because we're seeing the candles. If you even take a look at the trends here, going back to the chart, we had a bigger push down yesterday. Excuse me, the day before yesterday, but this is a much smaller push here. So even here, we've seen that it wanted to have a bigger sell-off, but the buys started coming in, and it actually pushed the candle back up. So we'll see how strong this candle here is, if it even closes red, because this could be a sign of the trend weakening, because we were threatening to have a push back up into this zone here, because technically on this entire trend, we hadn't had more than 2 red days in a row, right? So we've already broken trend when it comes to that. So if we do manage to close red today, I'd say maybe, because when you look at a zone, if you say, okay, if it's below support, where's the next level support? Because at that point, it just starts to become more and more extreme. It's kind of like if Bitcoin went back to that 58 number and then it kind of like bounced back up, kind of like what I was talking about with the rubber band, that'll make a big difference in buying pressure. So even if we came back down here to the previous level, which is around 15, I think that'll be absolutely phenomenal. And that should generate enough buying pressure here to kind of get a reversal. But I think we'll get one before then, but obviously we'll see. Let's see. So if Bitcoin goes up to at least 110,000, where would that put Dogecoin if it's mirroring it? Well, the Dogecoin, the sell-offs mirror more than the buys, if that makes sense, right? So they are obviously, their portfolio is obviously heavily weighted toward Bitcoin, Ethereum, things like that. But because the buys are not evenly advocated as the sells are. So you'll see that it'll be much more aggressive and mirror a lot more closely on a sell-off versus a buy. But if you're looking at the price action here, I think that if we are over 100,000, we are starting to get FOMO in crypto in general. Where that puts Doge, honestly, I don't know. I have to kind of do the math on that. I think I'll do that and incorporate that into my video for tomorrow. Kind of do like a range based off percentages. Obviously, it's not 100% accurate, but I can come up with a ballpark figure and get some numbers for that. But I don't know off the top of my head. Are we expecting 26, 30 cent in April? We can. Looking at charts in history here, we can have that sell-off here around April, and then this can pick up. Typically, honestly, though, if we look at the runs, typically they pick up in May. We can see here, again, this could be different just because of the amount of people that's in the actual coins. Like I said, Doge is running early. So Doge ran early, so I don't know. We could certainly have shortened, more aggressive cycle. So I think that we can kind of gauge it, but typically based off of history, it's normally around May. Let's see. 4 years ago, BTC was 35K. Doge was at 20. Now that BTC is 65K, why is Doge lower than 20? So we have different catalysts here driving Doge this time. Right. Last time we had hopium. um, it was a different time, right? COVID was going on. Stimulus checks were being passed out. It's a little difficult to compare that to and what I would call a much more organic run that we're having right now. I think right now we're actually kind of getting a decent idea of price action and pivot points for Doge based off of what we're happening right now, because we don't have the influx of money coming into the market. We don't I just get bought via stimulus checks. We don't have Elon tweets and the hoping around that. And I think that now we're just getting a more organic run, and it's not necessarily comparable. Kind of like what I was telling you in the last question, it's not necessarily comparable to Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is getting ready to cut its mining block in half, right? So after this cut in Bitcoin, Bitcoin is now officially going to be more rare than gold. So that's the difference between scarcity and something that's going to be a currency. So I think we will close that gap a lot more once we have that utility aspect. So that's why X, I think, plays a big deal in that. And I think X is going to be such a powerful move that not only is it going to close that gap as far as for percentage wise in relation to price, but also it's going to affect where Dogecoin actually even consolidates in the bear market. We may not even get that steep of a sell-off. We may see something similar to like a Bitcoin, where we're having 50-60% sell-off versus like the 80-90% that we've historically done. So I think that's going to play a big part. When will you start covering other coins? We need that next 100x. I'm working on a few things. I'm going to have some new videos coming out, but I'm going to start covering some more of the positions that I actually hold. So I think that'll just kind of help with like transparency and kind of give you an idea of how I'm doing things. But just gotta stay tuned for that. I have a few projects I'm working on now, and then we'll get to that soon. Let's see. My favorite part of these videos, watching the actions along versus short. It goes to show you the audience is doing to reflect what we're doing these runs. Absolutely. What's your top prediction for Doge? So if you look at the charts and do historic runs and stuff like that, and do an average, you can do the extremes. Obviously, it says that we can do around like $3. I personally think that we will see my top prediction here. I think we're going to see probably around like $1.40. Again, that could be too conservative. And a lot of that plays a part in what's going on in the macros when we get that X announcement. If we get that X announcement like somewhere around I guess peak bull run, there's no telling. I don't know what that FOMO does. When we had even the Twitter announcement, we went up I think 300% before we had that sell off. So I don't know what that does in peak bull run. Right? I can't. That's one thing I can't chart. But I think somewhere around $1.40, I think that's where we'll end up. Obviously, if that changes, or if we have some big movements kind of coming in once we get closer to $1, or retail has a massive sell-off, I'll be updating it as that goes along. But that's where I'm at right now. I thought we were going to see the 20s this month. Are we now seeing it? It's just be a consolidation month. It's not necessarily a consolidation month. I think that we have that they've always had the possibility of a pre-halving sell-off, so it's not necessarily a consolidation month, but it's a possibility. Well, I guess it's not a possibility. We're having a sell-off, so it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to do it the entire month, but this is certainly a period of adjustment here where you see a lot of swappings. That if you're just getting here, you can kind of go back to some of my not older, but just scroll back earlier in the video, and I went over longs versus shorts and all that, so you can see evidence of the swapping that's going on despite the price action that we're actually seeing. Let's see. Newbie alert. Can you explain? Let's see. Can you explain a little bit how long short is 75.25, but the price is still going down? I guess when do these long shorts impact the actual chart? Great question. So this is, and when you get a chance, I watch my futures video where I explain the difference between options and futures, but I'll do a brief explanation right here, right? So options give you an idea of the tone of the market. Now, some of those contracts will be exercised, some of them will be flipped or not, or just expire worthless, right? An option gives you the right to buy something, right? So if you're doing, let's say you're doing a stock here, it gives you the option to buy 100 shares, right? A future, you're going to close that contract, whether you're in profit or not. It's a guaranteed transaction that's going to happen here. That's why future is going to be a bigger deal for Doge. But an option, it gives you an idea of the tone of the market and how the market feels about the asset, but it doesn't mean they have to take the position. So that's why it's not always a direct effect or an immediate effect on the price action. So it kind of gives you an idea that the market believes that Dogecoin is undervalued right now. The market believes that Dogecoin is going to go higher right now. So that's why they're taking longer positions. But they don't have to if they, because you pretty much pay a price for the contract, a premium, and if they are wrong, then they don't have to take that position and take that loss. They just lose the money that they put up for the contract. So that is kind of gives you an idea why it's not always immediate effect on the charts, but it gives you an idea of how big money is feeling about the charts, right? So when you have billions and billions of dollars starting to come in and they say, hey, we think this is undervalued, we think this is going to go up, it gives you an idea of what the market is kind of pricing in before you see it on the charts, right? And it really just kind of plays a part, because if you're looking at charting, what I like to do is, because obviously charts are, I want to say, a lagging indicator, because you can look at something smaller like a minute on a minute and kind of see what's actually happening in real time. But I like to kind of get a tone of the market before it starts playing out on the charts, right? This is why I use start looking at things like death crosses, golden crosses, all that kind of good stuff to kind of give you an idea. Moving averages, get an idea, okay, where we're going to break down, what's the market telling us before it actually happens. And so right now the market's telling us that they believe that the coin is worth more, even though it's not reflecting in the chart. So that kind of helps me get an idea of what to properly analyze the chart here and say that, okay, well, so we should be seeing a turn here, versus if shorts were up 90%, or if shorts were up 75% and longs were 25%, I'd be saying the complete opposite. I'd be saying, hey, look, we're going to go retest some of those lower levels here. 12 cent, here we come. 10 cent, here we come. Shorts are running the market here. Longs are afraid. They're not confident in the market. We're probably going to have a huge sell-off, right? But when it flips around, it's bullish activity. So I hope that makes sense. 420 is my birthday. It'd be nice to see a nice flip afterwards. Absolutely. Can you predict the top of the bull market? I cannot. I cannot predict that. I can only look at buying pressure and get an idea. Kind of probably like as it's happening, or maybe a little bit beforehand, when I start seeing, like kind of like what I was telling you about, when I start looking at some of the indicators I like to look at to see what the market is pricing in. You can kind of get an idea, but no, I can't predict the top of the bull market. Best bottom. I don't know. I don't even want to say the previous all-time high, because I'd be really surprised if we didn't go above it. But I guess somewhere between the all-time high and $1.40. The question is, when will X have wallets ready? That's a great question. Hopefully they come out at the same time, right? Hopefully that comes out at the same time, because that'll do wonders for Dogecoin. Like if those coins leave those exchanges and don't come back, that's going to do wonders. David, you're the GOAT Doge YouTuber. I appreciate you. It's been 5 years or so that I've changed from conservative investing to taking higher risk. I understand some people have done that. Thank you, David. Thanks for everything you do. Doge community, one quick question. What's your prediction on the Dogecoin price in April? I think that because even right now, typically we don't see the run to after halving, which is going to be later this month. So right now, consolidation, in my opinion, is going to be somewhere between 18 and 15. And I think that we will retest 22 either probably later this month and beginning in May. Typically May is our explosive month, or at least the start of it. So I think that we will have that kind of like those zones in there for now right now, kind of like where we are between this zone here. So I think the 15 to around the 18 mark, this is kind of be where our consolidation is, unless for whatever reason Bitcoin has this huge sell off. And then a side note is the government sold, I don't know if you guys know, they sold about 33,000 Bitcoin to Coinbase the other day, right? So keep in mind here that they kind of, that was perfect timing, right? They got them from Silk Road. For those of you who are new, back in the day, Bitcoin was used on Silk Road to buy a lot of drugs and do a lot of illegal transactions that you couldn't do. And well, I guess it was easier to do in Bitcoin because you can't track it compared to cash. And they did like a lot of compensating and stuff like that. And they held Bitcoin this entire time. And now they are dumping that Bitcoin into the market. So again, here, pre-halving sell-off, maybe the government's helping a little bit, I'm not going to throw out some conspiracy theories, but just kind of keep that in mind, right? Let's see. Thank you, Mr. Brilliant Ryan. I appreciate you. What do you think absolute lows for Doge will be soon this time up until 420 halving? Then how we fast until 35.40 cent. Appreciate you. You're the best. So yeah, like I said, I think we're looking at somewhere between 18 and 15 on the consolidation level. That run, once we get running, that run to 30, especially if we're above 18 cent, it opens up that zone, right? 22 was, we typically had some rejections around there, but it's not the end of the world. So that run to, especially once we clear 22, and I'd say if we close above 22, that opens up that window to around 30 cent. And even if we are, especially if Bitcoin's running, or if we're heading toward the good part of the bull run here, it can happen certainly very quickly. Probably see, because once we get running for real, you'll see something like this, right? And probably bigger candles where every day was a green day. We went like 9 days. It was all green. Like you could have bought Doge any of these days and turned a profit the next day. Like when you start seeing stuff like that, that is evidence that you're going to we're headed toward peak bull market, right? That we're getting ready to run, right? But again, that's after halving. So I think we will see that within a week, really. I think once we close above that 22 range, I think that's something we'll see relatively quickly. Let's see. Best bottom prediction for this sell-off. Yeah, around 15. That's what I'm thinking. Let's see. Support our man. Give some love. All we guys wanted to show this man. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. Doge to 80 cent by September. Yeah, let's go. So I believe we have historically shown Doge a significant amount of strength at around 25 cent. This is the mark I'm looking for. I personally believe Doge will start the God candles at that point. Yeah, because even if you look at, I know like I spoke earlier saying that this runs different from last time. But if you go back and look at the charts for like what happened to us after 25 cent, it was just huge run ups. I mean, oh my God, it was just big runs. So again, I think this run is different, but which is why it's going to be difficult it's going to be more difficult to kind of chart that. But that does open up the window for a lot of volume to come in there. So, and we're going to be the moment of truth, because best believe Dogecoin, like I've been saying the last few weeks, Dogecoin is the king of meme coins. But you best believe that I don't care what you're invested in. When Doge gets around the all-time high, it's going to be all eyes on Doge. So that's because that's really going to be a historic and a defining moment. And I know short swing traders and all that, they're going to try and do their best to prevent it. But there's going to be a moment here in this bull run that I believe that we're going to see just kind of like a moment of silence for Doge as we get around those levels and see if Doge is going to make history and break its all-time high. So it's going to be really, really cool. I think that's going to be very telling for the tone of the market, whether or not we have extreme fear in the market that it's going to sell off and do a repeat from 2021, or if everybody's like, full speed ahead, right? So if you are, especially if you've been here since 2021, I know you guys are going to be watching as well. So I think that's going to be a very historic point. I think we will have some God candles around that time as well. So it's probably somewhere between 40 and the all-time high is probably going to be some really big candles. Absolutely. Let's see, guys. I appreciate you guys so much for being on here. I've been doing a live in over a year, so it's been 45 minutes. You guys are with me, so I guess you guys aren't tired of hearing my voice. I appreciate you. Love your answer. I appreciate you. Sorry, I'm just catching up here. Buy lowest prices, hold. Don't be impatient, or just get the F out. I told there's been a guy here. Because it's rare that I block anybody on my channel, but there was a guy here who was saying that like every time it goes up, it was like it goes down. It's like, oh my God, it's going down. It's going down. Bag holders, and it's just was like you disappear every time it runs, or I don't know if you actually expect there to be just all green days or whatever. It's supposed to hit a target every day, every week, or something like that. And it's just like I feel like if you are not going to bother to get educated in the market, just do index funds, a mutual fund, something, right? They have investments out there for you that's going to make your life a lot easier, especially if you believe that it's consistently supposed to go up, because you're going to be disappointed with your mutual fund as well. But especially if you have that type of mindset, but it'll relieve your stress, right? So I think there's something out there for everybody. Everybody's temperament is different, but the market has spoken when it comes to what the crypto market means, and I think we're going to have eventually an S&P 500 version of crypto. So if that kind of works out for everyone, you just kind of have to kind of know what your limits are, and when it comes to investing. So I'm going to type a message here, and I'm going to post it. All right, I'm going to post it there. When our future is coming, I imagine sometime this month. I'm going to do some research to kind of keep up with it, but I imagine we're going to have futures come in sometime this month. See, David, what do you think the interest rate cuts due to the price of Dogecoin this year? It's going to make cheaper money, institutional wise, retailer wise. That means cheaper mortgages, cheaper credit card rates, cheaper auto loan rates. Institutions get cheaper; they can borrow money cheaper. It ultimately means more. It also means money is less expensive, and there's more money. We kind of get to keep more money in our pockets. Institutions can take more aggressive positions, if that makes sense. So you can kind of see that trickle over typically in investments, right? That's typically what the whole greed and fear thing is. If I have less money, I'm more fearful. If I have more money, I'm more greedy, right? So it's just like, oh, I can double this. I have more money to play with in the market. If I invest more, I can make more, right? That's what happened in 2021. There's a lot of stimulus checks going around. I can invest this and flip it, make more money, right? So that a lot of that flowed into the market. So that's kind of the relationship between interest rates on a micro and a macro when it comes down to affecting the price of crypto and investments. So I hope that makes sense. Let's see. CB, I appreciate you. I appreciate your analysis, especially your sometimes digs at shorts and getting bent over. Do you think we'll see a total market capitalization of 10 trillion in this bull run? That's actually my target. Great question. That is actually my target for this run here. I think that we are going to hit 10 trillion this run. I really think that. So I think that because we peaked at around 4 trillion last time, I think we're going to more than double it. So yep, that is a very great point that you've made there. But yep, I definitely think we're going to hit there. I've been saying that for quite some time, but I really believe we're going to have a $10 trillion crypto market. Let's see, David, if we get to $1, will you say to the moon? Yeah, I guess I could do that, right? Because I was going to do for April Fools, I was going to do the typical, because you guys know how I feel about YouTuber thumbnails with the, the whole all their clown faces and stuff. But I was gonna do that for April Fools, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. But saying to the moon, I will do a video saying to the moon. I can do that. Right. So hold me to it. 10 trillion. If that happens, Doge is over $1 for sure. Let's see here. I appreciate you, Kyle. Thank you. When Doge reaches an all-time high, what's the most reliable exchange to sell without the halting or selling like Robinhood? So at the end of the day, all exchanges will do what's best for them, right? They'll do what's in their best interest. They all have little clauses that are written in there. Like if the market is going parabolic or if they're over leveraged on a position, nobody at any exchange is going to say, hey, let's pay everybody out their money and go bankrupt. Like that's not what they're going to do. They're going to pull the plug no matter what. This is why I'm a huge advocate for having your own keys. That's why I've been talking about Ledger for 3+ years. If you don't have one, get one from the actual company. They're in Paris, and you don't have to worry about it being already infected with spyware and stuff like that, where you're getting your coins taken or getting hacked. So if you need a link to the direct company, I have one in the description section of all my videos, but get one and hold your coins there in the meantime. If you're looking to sell, I would never do all of them at one time. But if you are transferring over to an exchange, because an exchange typically will have lower, because they're doing so much volume, they're going to have lower fees than something like a Ledger Live. So I would have accounts at different ones just for safety reasons. Because I do actually, it's not even I would, but I would send some to Coinbase, some to Robinhood, some to Binance, and just increase the chances of you actually making that conversion. Because typically, it's if there's a liquidity issue at one, I know Binance is probably the biggest one, so that'll be probably the last one to have that issue. But if you are having those, Coinbase, because I know Coinbase is being a little iffy with Dogecoin and not wanting to carry it, but I would probably say the biggest one with as far as with the most liquidity will be Binance. So in a nutshell, but I would do a combination of multiple exchanges so that you don't run into that issue and just kind of count on one to be your friend, because none of them are your friends. Let's see, go back here. How realistic is $2? I have 43,000 shares, 7 cents. Based off of the charts, it's very realistic. Maybe I'm being too conservative, but based off of the charts, it's very realistic. So it certainly can be up there. I have my target of around $1.40, but I know I'm being based off of what the charts are telling me. I know I'm being conservative, right? But it's very realistic. They say they're not going to cut, which is causing this dip. Absolutely, that's exactly what's going on. Is Doge your biggest crypto holding, or at least your biggest meme holding? Coin wise, yes. My favorite coins, obviously Doge, Bitcoin, Ethereum. I have some Cardano. So I've been thinking about XRP, just because of what the charts are telling me. But yeah, as far as for coin wise, yeah, Doge is certainly my biggest holder by a long shot. So yeah, that's not even a question. My guy, don't stop talking about you. I got you 3 subscribers when I had my 14 ounce. Let's see, take profit dinner last week. How many licenses Eli exactly I got now toward X payments? Sorry, just put you back up, Mr. Brilliant. I think he has, last I looked, it was almost at 30. I want to say like 29 or so. I have to maybe do an update. But I know he has over half of the country that are in agreement with X crypto payments. So it's happening. It's happening. So I'm very excited for what this can do for the coin overall. Hey, bro, I thought I missed your Q&A. No, I'm still on here talking. I'm probably going to stay on for like another 6 minutes so that I don't make a movie out of this live, but we'll do it an hour. So if you guys are, like me doing lives, I can do more of them. I haven't done this in over a year. Typically, I just think I know normally I'm just very a blunt person, so I just do the video and then interact with it and go from there. So I was going to ask you about doing a clickbait thumbnail. I tried that when I was, I don't know if you go back and look at my older videos, because I was covering like stocks and all that kind of stuff, even before COVID. On my channel, I was covering, investments and stocks and all kind of stuff like that, and doing like TA analysis. And I tried that for like 2 videos. And I felt like an idiot. Couldn't do it. Right? It's not, it's not my personality. I don't know. It's just I couldn't do it. Even for a joke for April Fools, couldn't bring myself to do it. So I was like, I'll just miss out. Maybe I'll just tell a joke or something, right? After the peak, what do you think the new floor will be? That's a great question. I am unsure, because I believe that the amount of people that are in the coin right now are going to stop it from having as an aggressive sell-off as it's done historically, but I don't know where that's going to be. I'm very interested to see that. Hopefully, maybe it's around like 50, 60% instead of, around that, like the 80, 90% historically. So I think that will be very telling, but I think that also depends off what type of utility that we have, because we have to keep in mind that Doge has it has a mine rate, right? So if the people are not interested in the coin unless it's bull run time, then that's going to affect the coin as far as for the price and where it consolidates at. But if we have that utility, we're going to consolidate much, much higher. So that's still TBD right now. Let's see. Following you since 2021. I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you. Do I have Dogecoin? I do not. What are your thoughts on this potential? I don't like any of the coins that mimic Doge, to be honest with you. I know that some of them, especially if they're really cheap, they have the potential to give some returns, but I don't typically chart them. I don't typically look at them. I just kind of focus on the positions that I have here. Something came up where it was actually, I guess I felt viable, but I haven't went back into the meme circuit to try and find I guess what you would call the next Dogecoin just yet. I'll maybe after this run I'll start scanning, but right now I have not been keeping my eyes peeled for anything like that. Let's see. Do you have any advice for investors from NY that desperately want to move their coins from Robinhood to their ledger? I'm not sure what to do about this. I don't. They've been asking, people have been asking about that since last run. I have not found a loophole. I was thinking about like VPNs or something, but I do not have an answer just yet. If I do have one, if I come up with one, I will certainly post about it, because I can see where a lot of my subscribers are at. And I know I have a lot of subscribers in New York, but I do not have a solution for it just yet. I'll take a few more. How do you sell from a ledger? You can transfer back from to an exchange, or you can use Ledger Live. I would do the exchange, especially if you have a large position, because Ledger Live is going to have higher transaction fees versus the exchange. The exchange is going to do, you have to take an extra step, obviously, by transferring it back to a wallet on the exchange, but you're going to save, coins or revenue on the actual sell, because the exchange is going to have lower fees. So I would go that route, but you can sell directly off of Ledger, and you would do that on Ledger Live. Doge one mission to expand will send Doge to all-time high. The best strategy is to buy and hold. Yeah, longs and shorts got wrecked on this run, so it's certainly a big. The only people who haven't necessarily got wrecked are the people that are actually on the coin, but longs and shorts have got bent on this run here. Yes, so just joining, barely heard your comment about which exchange to have. Yeah, try to spread it around, but learn to use these exchanges so you don't get banged on fees. Do limit sells or buys. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. Good. Hey, David, it's a good approach to swap Dogecoin for USDT within Ledger Wallet swap service when we are actually going to book profit. Going to exchange is really an issue. You can do that. Just kind of keep in mind, again, it just depends off your coin count and what those fees are going to be. But you can do that when you are. I guess it just depends on how quickly you want your actual profit. Some people are going to want to go straight from Doge to fiat. But yeah, that's certainly something you can do. You can kind of switch into a stable coin. That's certainly not a bad move. I'm gonna take a few more questions here. Oh my God, I'm way behind. So I'm answering questions from like a few moments ago because I guess I'm moving too slow. Hello, David. I'm from Austria. Okay, hello. Was it Oscon? Hello, welcome, welcome. Let's see. Sorry, I'm scrolling up. I'm trying to keep. I'm trying to. I was so far behind on comments. I was like, and then because I see the supers when they pop up, like this one. Speaking of utility, why hasn't Gigabyte exploded? Has its own blockchain and actually doing things behind the scenes regarding being useful for PMTs? I don't track because obviously I've just been focusing on a lot of the coins that I cover here. So the biggest thing is because even Doge, the reason why it is where it is, if you talk about getting like some meme coins or new coins, as far as for the exploding is going to be obviously because Doge is the top 10 coin and the popularity of the actual coin. So once that coin is, I would say, reaching mainstream, but has a large enough following, you'll see it have more of a reaction to the market, right? So because a lot of the coins, like if you're looking at the 100th coin, the reaction may be very small compared to what's going on overall in the market. So you have to kind of keep in mind your position here and how. Who's posting? What is that? Sorry, I got distracted by this red rocket thing. I'm not sure if that's spam or is he actually trying to copy and paste a bunch of rockets. But yeah, so as the community grows, you'll probably get more of a reaction, but I don't really keep track of what is that? Digibyte. When am I coming to New York? I'm not sure yet. I know I've discussed it. I will, when I do, I will certainly let you know. It's something I was actually talking about the other day. I have not set any concrete plans because I would have to kind of gauge interest. I would have to, get like a venue and set up all those kind of things like that. So more than importantly, gauge interest because I know I have a lot of subscribers there, but I have to kind of figure out like what the turnout would be to kind of see where we would actually meet. But I will, if when that comes into fruition, I will certainly let you guys know, and I'll do like a post, and we can kind of work that out. Thank you for taking my question. No problem. Let's see, dude. They're the custom emojis. Okay, well, I couldn't see it. All I saw was a bunch of, I don't know, maybe I have like an outdated version here because I'm actually not streaming live on YouTube. I'm streaming through StreamYard. So I'm actually streaming through a platform onto YouTube. So maybe I couldn't see those emojis. That's probably why I was a little confused. Because if those were emojis, I couldn't see them. It just was a bunch of words. Hey, David, are you going to sell off all of your shares at the peak or stay invested? No, I'm not going to sell off all of my shares. I'll stay invested. I want to see where this goes. I'm going to hold most of everything I have, which is Cardano, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Doge. I'm going to see where this goes. My DCA is so low on a lot of these coins, so it's not necessarily like I'm in a position where I'm going to be in the red once we go into the bear market or something like that. And I'm not necessarily counting on selling it to, do anything for me like financially. So I'm in a position here where I'm interested to kind of see where it's going to go. So I've been live a little over an hour, 4 minutes. Let me know in the comment sections if you guys, not necessarily this one. He said Cardano, what the hell, why? I'll save that for another video. That's funny. Um, let me know in the comment section, not in the live chat, but in the comment section of the actual video, if you want me to do more lives. I can certainly probably try and work this in maybe like once a week or something like that, and we can just kind of have open discussion like this after the videos. If you have not subscribed to the channel, if you found value here, please help me get to 100,000 subscribers this year by subscribing to the channel. It will certainly help. We're going to try and beat Bitcoin to $100,000. So that being said, I hope you guys have all found value here tonight. I hope you guys appreciate it. I appreciate you guys sitting with me for this hour, and I will see you guys tomorrow in our next update. All right. Have a good night, everyone.